Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. We've got a special guest today who returns after a 3 or 4 year hiatus, I think. So we had Dan on the channel way back when Ecomi was a little project, New Zealand, a few Aussies working on it as well. And it was in the NFT space, but it was really before NFTs had become even a buzzword. And it was all about collectibles. So look, we're going to go over it all today. Many of you probably haven't even heard of Ecomi, but some of you did invest way back in 2017, 2018, and price is up like 8,000% this year or something ridiculous. It's catching up and being repriced like all these NFT gaming projects. So I guess well done on everything, Dan. You've been very patient and it's all come together. But yeah, just congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, it has been a very long road. But yeah, well, very happy. For me, what I'm mostly happy about is that people are just loving the product. You know, that's what we wanted to make something for collectors that they loved. And yeah, so far I'm really happy with the results.
Well, I might let you describe it, just the short version for people before we dive into all the specifics. But for those that haven't seen it, I'll just bring up the website. So this is Ecomi. They've got this VeVe app, and it's a little bit augmented reality, like the Pokemon game. Most of you will remember. So as well as the collectibles and NFTs, there's plenty of different, I guess, aspects to what the guys do. But I've already had friends say that they downloaded this app and their kids are absolutely loving it, and they just can't, get the phone back out of their hand or the iPad or whatever. So that's what we want. We want people in the real world using this stuff and not knowing that there's blockchain or crypto in the background. But how would you describe what, I guess, Ecomi does, as well as that individual product you've already got out?
Yeah. So Ecomi is basically a technology company based out of Singapore, and within that we have two products. Well, the first product is our Ecomi Secure Wallet, which is a credit card-sized hardware wallet. I think that's what we focused on the show the first time, all those years ago. Oh, yep, there we go.
There we go. Yes, I've done a tutorial on the Ecomi little wallet there as well.
Yeah. And then the other product that we moved into also around 3 years ago was the digital collectible space. Yeah, Alex, as you mentioned, back then, I mean, to be honest, people couldn't even spell NFT, or NFT wasn't really even a thing. The only thing that was out was CryptoKitties. And it was really, the idea was that we could potentially take all of the licenses that my business partner and another gentleman in the company had access to, and then around that, build a product for collectors. So I guess just to give an overview of what VeVe is, really we tried to take what is the physical experience of collecting, that millions of fans do every year. They spend $300 billion on collectibles. And we didn't want to change anything about collecting, because it's already there, it already exists, and it already has all the emotional triggers that are in place. So what we wanted to do was try to transition that from the physical world into the digital space. And obviously one of the key tools or technologies that allowed us to do that was the advent of blockchain, and then NFTs coming out on top of that.
So I guess there's good and bad, pros and cons, and a lot of people are saying, well, it's the scarcity that's provable when you make these things digital, but you're saying you actually want to keep that sort of physical 3D aspect to it. So that's quite different to other projects, but you still have that blockchain provability. So is that kind of what you're describing there, where you want people to be able to look at them and, good quality, but they're digital rather than real sitting on a shelf?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly it. As a fan, you could walk into a hobby store and you can buy your, 12-inch Batman statue, or you can come into VeVe and you can buy the exact same statue, because the models that we sell are actually sculpted by the artist who created the physical model. So we're not reinterpreting it. We're getting that directly from the source, from DC. So you're really buying an authentic digital model. And the reason we wanted to go 3D was for that exact reason, Alex, is that, we wanted it to still be very much a tangible experience. And by offering all of the collectibles in 3D, whether it's a vehicle or a figurine, it just took it so much further than, what still kind of prevails today, which is, sort of 2D or maybe like a video file. It's very limited as to what you can do with that.
Yeah. And the big thing that you already just mentioned there was the some of the partnerships or branding licensing that you had access to. So a lot of people are hopefully by now familiar with the concept that projects have come out with their alpha or beta version. Red Fox, for example, did their own and they made up those cogs. And now people are moving on to partnering up with real world artists, like Kings of Leon came out with that NFT style track the other day, or trying to partner up with big brands like NBA Top Shots, and they have the licensing to do these things. So talk us through some of the licensing in that you had like very early on, and I think that's why you've been repriced so much recently, because they're very big partnerships.
Yeah. So, our real strategy going into it was to try to corner this market in two ways. And when I say corner the market, I mean corner the area that we are in, which is 3D premium license digital collectibles. And we wanted to try and corner that in two ways. The first one being the licensors. Batman has 1 million, 10 million fans. Back to the Future has millions of fans. Ghostbusters have millions of fans. When you bring these properties on board, they bring a ready-made audience with them. So we knew that if we could secure the licenses, we'd have an audience. And then the other part of our sort of the cornerstone to achieve what we've done was to give those fans a really solid collectible experience in an entirely new way, but something that they already knew. It's a 3D model. I can put it there. I can sell it over there. I can put it on display there. Everything they do in the real world, but literally all now accessible from the palm of your hand. So they were the two main sort of cornerstones. And in terms of the licensing, as some of the early investors will likely know, we're very lucky to have a gentleman in the company by the name of Alfred Khan. He is responsible for a little known game called Pokemon. Very funny story, actually, if I can just quickly digress. It was like, whatever it was, 20, 30 years ago, he was in Japan doing a lot of licensing work over there. I believe it was for Nintendo. And then he found this game over there called Pocket Monsters. And he spoke to the Japanese company, and and they were like, no, the Westerns will never get it. It's, that you can't take it. It's not, the property is not for sale. And then he was like, I can make it work. And anyway, they ended up saying, yes, fine, you can take it, but don't ever credit us for anything. We don't want to be involved in any way. And then sure enough, Al took it. We all know what happened to it. I'm sure they called him up and said, hey, Al, let's be friends.
Yeah.
So he, as part of all of that, he was in the Licensing Hall of Fame. He was involved in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mario Bros, basically every major license out there. So he really gave us the first boost. He was able to mainstream us into the right people. So the advantage we had with Al is that we didn't have to start from the bottom. And I think if we did have to start from the bottom, we probably wouldn't be where we are now. But the reason being is that we spent 18 months grinding away at these licensors. In the beginning, they were like, digital what? They really had no idea what it was, but we just kept going back. Every time the app was getting better, every time we'd have one more licensor. And then it started to hit this critical mass. We'd be right up, dealing with the president level of the companies, because they know digital is the next thing. And I actually give real credit to our licensors who believed in us back then, because now they are reaping the rewards of seeing our vision back then. They've got people ringing them up saying, oh, let's get on the NFT bandwagon. And they're like, well, we're already making hundreds of thousands through VeVe already, products out there. So it was a very, very long road, very difficult, many trips to America and around America. But ultimately, that's what we wanted to secure, and we got it. And we have some other licensors this year of the same caliber that I'm very, very excited to announce in the coming months.
Fantastic. What can you tell us about the token model? So you're saying those companies are reaping the rewards. Obviously, they're making profit from the sales. But what sort of model do you guys have? Is it like the equity model, or is it really trying to pour all the value through the tokens, or are the tokens creating and holding separate value to like sales?
Well, no, it's all kind of tied in together. So, basically the model is deflationary. So every time someone buys something within the VeVe app, whether they spend fiat in-app purchase or whether they're sending their OMI in, when that purchase gets executed, the associated OMI value at the current OMI rate gets sent out of circulation or, to a burn wallet. So that's the overall sort of the deflationary side of it. The token itself is really a utility token. I mean, we designed it when we sold it, 2 years ago. It was designed for users to send into the app and then use the OMI token to purchase the digital collectibles. Fast forward to this day and age, there's a lot more stuff that you can do with tokens now. Everything from whether it's being DeFi or whether it's staking rewards. So I am excited that in Q2 we will be announcing some really cool extra utility beyond what the token has now to sort of reward our users.
Yeah, that's something that I've been working with a lot of projects on as well. Because as you say, back in 2017, everyone just said, "Oh, it's the currency of our platform or our app," and things didn't play out that way. There's far better utilities now, as you've described, and users are demanding more, investors are demanding more, and so I think it should be that way. So you said the token was only about 2 years ago, so you guys operated and had the card and all that, because it was 3 or 4 years ago when we first spoke, wasn't it?
Yeah, yep, that's right. I think because the card came out first, and then we produced the OMI token later on, and then we integrated our token into our wallet.
Fantastic. So yeah, we'll have to get some maybe some exclusives and help share that news when it comes out with these other partners. But what's the vision now? How many active users and downloads do you have? Is it just all about growth now? It's been a wild past 3 weeks. I can tell you that. So yeah, we launched December 20 to the public. As of this morning, we had 32,000 registered users. And then I think it was last week we cracked our 50,000th collectible edition sold. So really, moving forward from here, we've developed the base platform. We've got proof in that it works and people love the product. So really, it's about expanding the offering in all the various sectors of the product. So that includes the type of collectibles we offer. What we have right now is the static collectibles available. But we have 2 other categories as well. One is the animated version. So, you might have your, Batman doing a special move, or, we've got Monster Hunter characters coming out where, we're very lucky. We've actually got the in-game asset from Monster Hunter. So the actual 3D model that you used on screen, you can now buy as a collectible. And part of that, we have the actual animation that came from that as well. So you can have it on your beautiful pedestal in your showroom, and it'll just be doing its sort of death move. Yeah.
And then we have the interactive collectibles, which some of your viewers may have seen, which is like the DeLorean, which you can drop into the sort of what I call. When I was growing up, we had radio control cars. And this is basically like a virtual or a digital radio control car. I can drop it in augmented reality. It goes down to about 1 foot long, and then I've got some control sticks on my phone, and I can just do burnouts, drive it around. So the whole idea is really to expand on this functionality, and where we're heading with our collectibles is into really a digital toy kind of experience. So you'll start seeing more and more of these interactive products, and a lot of the characters that we want to start bringing out in the future will be more likened to like a game character, right? Let's say you're playing a Batman game. On your controller, you've got a walk cycle, a run cycle, you can jump, you can climb, you can do some special rolls. So we're going to be building all of these kind of features into our character, so you can drop it on the ground, and then I can run around, interact with it. Then as we start to expand into the VeVe-verse, we have a lot of multiplayer, multi-user, where it's either AR in the same environment, or I could drop it in my living room, and you could drop it in your living room, and we're connected to a little multiplayer game to really take that to the next level. So our whole kind of vision for the future is that these 3D assets are here to stay, and limited edition digital 3D assets are here to stay even longer. I mean, because they're on the blockchain, so they're not going anywhere anyway. But we really believe that the wearable devices are going to come to the fore over the next sort of few years. And when you've got these devices on, what are you seeing in the world? It's these digital assets. And yes, there'll be tons of free ones out there, but people will still want that limited edition one-of-one artwork. The same way that, you know, I can go down the road and maybe buy a print of a Picasso, or I can buy the real one. You know, it's the same kind of thing. So, yeah, really about bringing the whole experience more into the multi-user, into this kind of metaverse, which is all multiplayer. There'll be huge expansions on what we're doing with people's virtual showrooms. We want that to become your personal space in 3D. You've got your own personal space in 2D now. And when I say that, I mean you've got your Instagram, you've got your Facebook. You know, people can go there and learn about you. But really what we're trying to create and try to cultivate is this 3D space where I've got all my favorite collectibles. I can decorate the whole place the way I want. Like, you know, I could put in a couch, I could put in a TV.
Well, I think people are familiar with this because we've launched, or we're about to launch, our Decentraland headquarters, and we've got our base there. I've got my my first NFT artwork is on display in the main lobby. We created all these little booths, and people can go in and watch the tutorials on, you know, how to set up their ledger. You know, we can put Ecomi stuff. We can have a little Ecomi corner in our Decentraland. So when you say metaverse, how are you guys multi-blockchain, or how are you finding like Ethereum and the scaling, or what are your thoughts with all that at the moment?
Yeah, it's a very pertinent question, actually. I mean, you know, when we first chose our blockchain provider a few years ago, the landscape was very different. It was all about TPS, and it was all about, you know, this and that. But, you know, as the industry has matured and developed, there are a lot more options out there now. You know, obviously we've got all of our layer 2s. So it is, you know, we were literally just talking about it in the company this morning. Like, you know, there are so many people approaching us now in terms of, you know, their blockchain solutions. They all offer great stuff, but really, you know, we either make a call what we believe the future is going to be. You know, is it going to be Ethereum? You know, what is going to be the main player, or is it more likely that we're about to enter another phase of like multi-chain, you know,
if I was consulting you, which I've been doing a lot of lately as well, I'd definitely say that the guys that are Mutable, I think, are leaders, and they're creating zero cost mint and transaction for NFTs as a scaling solution. But I think Matic, that's changed to Polygon, is also becoming a leader. But then you've got your Cosmos and your Polkadot, Binance Chain even, that are almost, well, Binance Chain is just a clone copy of Ethereum in some ways. But yeah, so having said that, like, what was your meeting this morning, and what direction are you leaning or open to?
Yeah, well, to be honest, we haven't made any decisions yet because there's just, we really need to sit down and assess it because, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, what we've got in place now works perfectly fine. You know,
and what is that for people at home?
So we're on GoChain network at the moment, which is they're a fairly small provider, but like I say, at the time they really, you know, provided exactly what we needed.
Yes.
And so now it's now it's really about making this call, like, you know, which way are we going to go? And I've had a number of people recommend Immutable X, so I'm definitely keen to have a chat with those guys. To see what they offer. So keep your eyes peeled on the Telegram. We're gonna be making a decision pretty soon.
Cool. Well, I'll put you in touch with Robbie because I've sent so many people their way because it's exactly what everyone needs at the moment, and the race is on. It's whether or not like MetaMask and these other protocols are integrating one click, so you can change from being on Ethereum to Polkadot or Cosmos or Binance Chain in your MetaMask. And I even think MetaMask is a pretty poor user experience still. So there's another little project I'm working with trying to create a better wallet because all these things are still up for the taking, I think, in terms of market share. But obviously you guys have you know, really taken that away, abstracted that for people with your app with GoChain at the moment. Because the kids that I've seen and heard play it just are loving it. So it's obviously not costing $200 a transaction and taking a minute to process or anything like that.
Exactly. Thankfully, and you know, as we've always been transparent about from the beginning, I think it's even in our white paper that, you know, we did start off as a hybrid type solution because, you know, we couldn't run the risk of, you know, potentially having these millions of Batman fans come in and then have the system fall over because of some, you know, infrastructure scalability issue. Like, the risk for us was just too big. Yeah. But that has changed now, and now it is possible for us to really go full more fully into the blockchain side. And, one of the other reasons that we are, looking at this now is because, one of the other sort of questions that we get is, are our NFTs interoperable? Or, are we NFTs? And 100% we are NFTs. We're a blockchain project. We mint NFTs. But where the restriction comes is from the licensors. So, which is one thing to appreciate. I remember, in the early days when we were talking with licensors, everything was going really, really well. And they would be saying like, yeah, it's on blockchain. And they're like, whoa, blockchain. Isn't that Bitcoin scam? And then it was sort of like, we realized very quickly, like you cannot bring up blockchain around, back then, like a year and a half ago. So, we eventually coaxed the licensors into it. And to be honest, Dave, my business partner, and I have done all the hard work getting almost all of the major licensors familiar with, this whole landscape. So anyone going to approach them now is, they've got probably a much easier job. So a lot of them were very cautious around blockchain for that reason. And also, these companies are intellectual property. It's what they sell, it's what they do. And when you start talking about having a new type of asset that can be moved out of a platform, that can be floated around in the internet, and who knows what happens with it, they were very cautious about that in the beginning. But in saying that, obviously, the past few weeks, all of them have been ringing up saying, hey, those NFTs that you've done for us, what else can we do? We don't have to do anything. We're already doing it all. So interoperability is 100% the future of our collectibles, of everyone's collectibles. So, what I see is really interesting now is we're at this fork in the road where there's this huge thing of interoperability, but then there's all of these chains converging at one time, some of which, there's some bridges, some this and that, but the technology isn't really going along with what the sort of interoperable vision is, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. So like the bridge between Wax and Ethereum, I had to use that the other day. And again, it's not even worth doing at the moment with gas prices and NFTs. Then you've got like the secret network. Then you got Red Fox doing the bridge between Rootstock on Bitcoin and Ethereum and Wax. So yeah, it's all sort of there. But at the moment, if I wanted to take an Ecomi, like a Batman NFT from GoChain into Decentraland, into my headquarters, I can't do that because it's a different metaverse that's not yet interoperable. But in future, maybe it will be, or you guys can upgrade your smart contracts and switch to the Ethereum chain or a compatible chain. So that's the kind of options.
Yeah, or, one of the options we were even talking about this morning is that, maybe there could be some kind of swap. Maybe I send in my ERC721, I send it in, it gets locked up in the smart contract, and it issues me a flow NFT, and then I can go and use it over there. Or so it's very interesting to see where it's going to go. And for us, it's about, I think, choosing the partner that we believe is going to be here for the long run, like we are.
So that would be like, you might have heard atomic swaps, or like a wrapped Bitcoin. You might have a wrapped Batman or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Yeah, I mean, we've got our wrapped Omi coming out for our Uniswap listing. And it's basically the same kind of thing. The Omi gets parked in the smart contract until the wrapped one comes back in. So maybe that's the future.
Oh, so you've got a Uniswap. Okay, cool. That's awesome. That's what you need at the moment to get involved in that world, because I take it that GoChain wouldn't have a lot of liquidity or dexes or depth or that sort of thing. So you need that for sure.
Yeah, they do have the services, but they're, I think they're just a smaller player, so the traffic is significantly lower. And, if you're going to play in today's field, it's Uniswap, SushiSwap, like that's where you need to be.
Absolutely. Just rewinding a little bit to what you were describing before, the idea of like multiplayer games. So as we're seeing like cities get more crowded and people have smaller living spaces in a lot of these cities in Asia, for example, everyone lives in these little units. Now the kids can have the phone or the iPad and have their like helicopter going around the lounge room or car doing burnouts, but it's all just like digitally on the screen rather than in real life. And then you can battle your friend and the helicopters are shooting each other, but it's all just like augmented rather than in the real world. So that's awesome. Like, I'd love to be a kid again and have all these possibilities. And parents are going to love this because there's no cleaning up all the all the toys afterwards. But
Yes. Yeah.
I guess you can also
And
argue that, well, I guess people say, oh, they don't get outside, but then the possibilities are even bigger once you're outside in the augmented world, aren't they?
yeah, exactly. And the other huge advantage of what we're doing is that the environmental cost of producing toys. I mean, we get hit up now by promotional companies that they say, like giant supermarket chains, they want to do a like a giveaway. But in this day and age, whenever they go to give away with a plastic toy or any kind of product, they get massive flack from environmentalists and just from the general community. So even at that level, there's a transition of people wanting to move into the digital space. So it's very promising for the future.
Yeah, there's a little Aussie company, I think Zookaz. I'm not sure if you have heard of them, and they were doing something like augmented, like gift vouchers. And so you're walking through the mall, and you'll see, $10 Starbucks card come in here, and so all the shops all of a sudden they want to have the people to get the traffic to go into them. So there's like, are you guys thinking about in the future doing like the business applications or sports and other
100%.
stuff?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, we have six main categories, which is pop culture, which is like your Batman, your Superman. We have sport, which is NFL, which some people know we've already signed. We've got gaming, like I mentioned, Monster Hunter is an example. We've got anime, film and television, vehicles. We announced the other week that we've got GM. We have some other sports car brands coming on very soon, which I'm also excited to announce. And yeah, B2B is also a very big part of what we do. So even with some of the licensors that we are working with now for future drops, we have a geo-targeting feature built into VeVe where we can drive users to a particular location, whether that's a shop, and once they're in that shop and in that geolocation, they are able to, like, for example, the buy now button will become available in the app. So we can drive traffic to locations and make them engage in some way. So, even though we're completely in the digital world, the physical world is still going to exist, collectibles, all of that stuff. So we really want to make sure we kind of take part in it, in the sort of digital physical side of things.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if you've followed it all, but Red Fox were doing something where, for example, you might go into a digital world, augmented virtual world. There's like a food court, and you look at all the different foods and go, oh, I want to have Chinese tonight. That looks good, and then you order it, and then it comes in the real world. So all those things are
Right.
possible, and I just think that a lot of people that are watching this channel are hopefully familiar with all this stuff, and they've got their heads around virtual, augmented, tokens, collectibles. But a lot of people out there that are just doing the 9 to 5 have got no idea that this is coming in a massive, massive wave.
Mm, mm,
It's just the next step from computers, and we had better screens and better quality, then better
mhm.
streaming and connections, and now we're going to have like virtual all around us. We're going to spend so much
Yeah.
more time, and I think the thing that I really get excited about as well is like professional applications. So a doctor might be able to perform surgery from their home, or in India and
Mm,
be performing surgery on someone in Australia or Antarctica, and they've just got this augmented virtual world, and then in the actual location will be like the robot and the tools and whatever. So it's just going to
mm.
change the way we do so many different things.
It is. Yeah. I mean, we're just going to go. I think one of the things that Elon says about Neuralink. I mean, he basically says we are already cyborgs, but the problem is our input output right now is limited to this.
Mm.
And that's going to change very quickly. It's either going to come, either Elon's just going to basically project it onto the back of our eyeballs,
Yep.
which, let's face it, it's going to happen at some point. But in between then, there's more than likely that this phone is going to become some sort of wearable device, and we're going to start seeing, there's not going to be no longer going to be those sort of restrictions of the throughput of having to deal with a phone. And when that happens, you know, that's when we are literally living and existing. I mean, we already are living and existing in a digital world. Let's face it, everything we do is digital, but it's going to be far more apparent to us. I really believe that's the future.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to go down the rabbit hole and make the mind hurt a little bit, people argue that the computers are just ones and zeros, and then the DNA of all living things are just the four little letters that they're just
Mm,
code. And then you can say that all the cells and neurons in our body are just little electrons, little firing. So in some way, we are just not that dissimilar. Like we have electricity or electrons, whatever way you want to think of it. So we are merging those two worlds, and it's getting very close. And I watched a TED talk even a couple of years ago now, where they've got to the point where they can put the electrodes on your brain and kind of almost know what you're looking at by what parts of the brains are firing. And it's almost like that was a dial-up quality, but that'll get better and better, and it's vice versa. So just the overlap of this world is going to be scary, and I guess it raises ethical questions, like you said. Do we want Elon implanting things in our brain that can be hacked or whatever? But man, what an exciting time to be alive.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I would love to. Yeah, I'd love to be able to stay alive for 500 years, literally, just to see, what happens.
Yeah, frozen for 400, then come back, or you want to just wait it out?
No, I'd probably like to experience it, be part of it.
Awesome. Well, anything else that I haven't touched on or asked, Dan, that you're excited about, or just in the crypto space in general, or what you guys are doing?
No, I think we've covered sort of the main things. I mean, for us, really, it's just about continuing to create an awesome experience, and then the all the technology behind it is there to support that. We've always been very experience oriented rather than coming at it from a technology like, oh, hey, I've built this, this cool blockchain tech, what can we now kind of do with it? That's sort of what has happened to so many companies, and they just went by the wayside because, their tech was great, but there was no application. So, we really believe that, products like ours, like NBA Top Shot, these are real world, some of the first like real world entertainment uses of blockchain that incorporate a token and that allow users to come in. And it just, we're like, I often think that, some of our collectors that come in, once they start realizing, wow, this is a digital asset that I actually own. And not only that, there's this other kind of currency associated with it. I think that's really, it's really cool. And it's going to bring a lot more people into the space.
The final thing we haven't really touched on that I'm really excited about as well is some of the platforms like Engine are allowing content creators to, they've got the freedom of creative expression really, and it takes down that barrier of the corporate board that decides what game they're going to make or whatever. So have you guys got anything like that where you want the users to be able to mint their own or create their own assets or anything like that, or is that a bit hard with the licensing?
Well, I mean, number one, we could never do it with the licensing because, we can't just have every Tom, Dick and Harry submitting their picture of Batman and then, trying to get that signed off. It literally doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
However, the other thing that we also need to be careful of is that, like with these sort of tier one brands that we work with, we really are premium. And that's the area we're going to stay in. There are a lot of good tools out there and good sites out there that allow people to create and mint their own NFTs.
Yes.
For people who want to do their own artworks. But however, in saying that, we will be later this year opening up a new section of the app called Artist Alley. And what we will be allowing artists to do, and I don't mean just, like my mum who's drawn a nice picture of the back paddock. They will, artists that do have some kind of following, they are premium to some degree. We'll be allowing them to come into the platform and, sell their content alongside the tier one brands. And that doesn't necessarily have to be licensed. So there are so many amazing 3D artists out there now that just create stuff that is literally out of this world. And I 100% believe people will collect it. So we want to open a channel for these guys to who create high quality stuff to bring them into our ecosystem where people can have their own showrooms, set them up, create this whole sort of virtual environment, maybe interact with them. I think that's also a big part of the future.
Yeah. That's fun. Yeah, Super Rare do that as well, where they, the artists have to apply and sign up. So that's been fantastic, guys. I'll put all the links down below to follow the guys, download the app and have a play around with it all. And we'll have to catch up again in future, Dan. So, well done on everything. And any final thoughts for people at home?
Just as again, thanks to all of our supporters. It's been a long road to get here. And I just really hope that, everyone's feeling very happy with how the product is moving, how the token's moving, and just to remember, this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
We've been out for 2 months, so yeah, stay tuned.
Awesome. Okay. I hope you guys have enjoyed that one. Cheers. We'll talk again next time.